The Altari explorer's ship, Luminance, hung motionless in the inky blackness of deep space. On the bridge, Ambassador Zora studied the holographic star maps with a sense of anticipation. There it is! Zora's antennae twitched as she pointed a delicate finger. The coordinates of the species known as humans. I still cannot fathom why the Council chose this unremarkable planet to make first contact. Dolan grumbled, his armored carapace creaking as he crossed his burly arms. Surely there were better candidates. The psychological profiles indicate humans are an emerging space-faring race with unique attributes. Croc, the lead xenologist, chirped excitedly. Their capacity for adaptation and rapid technological growth is unparalleled. Yes, but their history is one of ceaseless conflict, Dolan argued. Why extend our hand to such a volatile species? Which is precisely why this opportunity is crucial, Zora said firmly. If we can guide them down a path of peace and share our enlightenment. Assuming they don't try to blow us to quarks first, Dolan muttered. Zora chose to ignore him. Pursuit of new cultures is our highest directive. Croc, are your observation drones prepared for launch? Affirmative. Croc's feelers wiggled with enthusiasm. I can't wait to study the humans up close. With a faint hum, silver probe droids disengaged from the luminance and accelerated towards the pale blue planet hanging in the void. On Earth, air raid sirens caught 16-year-old Lena Sullivan's attention as she stared out the classroom window. She frowned as the muffled wail grew louder. Yo, what's going on? Her friend Trent leaned over, following her gaze to the sunny sky outside. Don't know. Maybe we're having another drill, Lena began, but her words caught in her throat as a blinding fireball erupted in the distance. An ear-splitting boom shook the building a moment later. Screams and shouts of panic erupted as students fled their seats. Lena could only watch, trembling, as more streaks of light began raining down, slamming into the city with thunderous concussions. In the confusion, she felt a strong hand grip her arm. We need to get underground, now! Coach Wilkins, the gym teacher, bellowed, ushering the petrified kids towards the blast shelter under the school. As another deafening explosion rocked the earth, Lena said a silent prayer that her parents were safe. She didn't know what was happening, but one thing was clear: whoever was attacking Earth wouldn't face any mercy from humankind. On the bridge of the Luminance, chaos erupted as air defense battery after battery opened fire on Croc's recon drones from the human planet's surface. Unidentified crafts are continuing their hostile action, one of the sensor officers wailed in panic. We're being targeted by some form of high-intensity beam weapons, another yelled. Void shields at 40% and falling. This is not the welcome I was anticipating, Zora said, struggling to remain calm as explosions rocked the Luminance. She activated the ship's comm array. Humans, we mean you no harm. We came in peace seeking first contact. Can't get through, they're jamming all our hailing channels, a comms officer shouted. Well, that's just prime, Dolan roared, mandibles chomping furiously. I warned you these cretins were too unstable for diplomacy. Return fire and vaporize these insolent pests. No! Zora slammed her fist down. I will not be responsible for a full-scale conflict on our first encounter. All batteries stand down. More missiles streaked past as the Luminance rocked again, sparks showering from shattered view panels. Zora steeled herself, pushing down her rising fear. Perhaps I misjudged just how terrifying these humans could be. Klaxon alarms blared throughout the fortified bunker, as General Marcus Kane paced the Situation Room, his jaw set in a hard line. On the main display, the holographic icon representing the massive alien ship hung ominously over North American airspace. Someone want to explain to me how the hell those UFOs slipped past our early warning systems? He growled at the ashen-faced radar operators. Sir, we're still trying to ascertain what happened, a flustered technician replied. But it appears their ships have some sort of stealth or jamming capability that rendered them virtually undetectable until they entered our airspace. Kane slammed his fist on the console, making the terrified man flinch. Well, that's just fantastic. What's the current threat assessment? Based on the size of the massive alien vessel and the scouts we've downed, we're estimating their technological superiority to be at least 100 years beyond our own capabilities, Colonel Jeffries reported grimly. Just our luck we make first goddamn contact, with an advanced alien race hellbent on invasion. Kane spat out a curse. Have our nuclear triads been updated with payload calculations for their coordinates? Affirmative, sir. But, Jeffries hesitated. Perhaps we should consider more diplomatic overtures before escalating to full-scale response. Kane whirled on the colonel, eyes blazing. You saw how they opened negotiations by raining nuclear-level missile strikes on American cities. No! If these bastards want a war, we'll give them one. Jeffries held up his hands placatingly. I'm merely advising we exercise restraint until. A new voice cut across the room as President Rachel Kynes entered, flanked by her advisors and Secret Service detail. That's enough, General. We're not escorting into full-scale response unless I give that order directly. Kane's face tightened, but he nodded stiffly. Madam President. Kynes turned to the main display, her expression one of grim determination. We don't yet understand the intentions behind the unprovoked attack by these aliens. But I need solutions that don't reduce our planet to cinders in a rash decision. Dr. Hassan? The xenoanthropologist stepped forward, wringing her hands nervously. While we've theorized about extraterrestrial life for centuries, this is our first opportunity for actual first contact. I strongly advise we refrain from hastily deploying our nuclear arms until I've had a chance to analyze the aliens' communication methods and potentially open a dialogue. With all due respect, Doctor, they've already made their dialogue pretty damn clear, Kane snapped. General, Kynes interrupted sternly. You will give Dr. Hassan whatever resources and time she requires to make an attempt at contact. That's an order. Lips pressed tightly, Kane could only nod again as the President continued. In the meantime, keep our nuclear deterrent at DEFCON 2 and prepare for any contingencies. But no countdown or higher escalation without my authorization, is that understood? Crystal, Madam President, Kane replied tightly. On the bridge of the Luminance, the tension was just as palpable. The ship's hull groaned from the barrage of human missile strikes as Zora watched the icon of another observation drone went dark. Their defensive barrages are unrelenting, Croc fretted. At this rate, I'll have no drones left to study them. Could they simply be acting out of ignorance about our intentions? Zora wondered aloud. Or are they truly this hostile? Dolan slammed his claw down with a resounding thud. Who cares about their blasted intentions any longer? This is an act of war against the Altari Federation. Give me tactical command and I'll reduce these primitives to galactic dust. His words were underscored as a massive concussive force rocked the ship violently. Zora struggled to maintain her balance as the deck shuddered beneath her feet. Void shields down to 15% and falling rapidly. The damage control station wailed in panic. They've targeted our shield generators. Zora felt her heart sink. They clearly weren't dealing with a typical pre-warp civilization here. But how could any species wield such destructive capability, yet remain trapped on a single world? The ambassador closed her eyes, steadying herself as her decision crystallized. These humans were too powerful, too dangerous to be essentially exterminated or left to their own devices any longer. For the greater good of peace in this arm of the galaxy, the Altari would have to conquer them. Prepare an invasion vanguard, Zora commanded, mandibles set in grim determination. We can't allow the humans to be the terror of the spaceways. If they won't listen to reason, we'll have to subjugate them by force. Deep beneath the streets of New York City, Silas Crown watched the holographic display with a grim smile as the alien ship's shields failed under the relentless orbital bombardment. He turned to his second-in-command, Natasha Vram. Tell our forces to press the attack. I want that Xeno vessel crippled before they can call for reinforcements. Natasha's icy eyes narrowed. Our staging coordinates put us well within their estimated strike range once they go weapons free. You sure about this play? Crown's smile didn't waver. Those goobers have more tech than sense if they think a few lucky hits will stop us. Humans have been preparing for this fight before our ancestors first dreamed of the stars. He straightened, casting his gaze over the dimly lit war room. Men and women of all backgrounds, united under one cause: the preservation of the human race against any and all alien threats. For over 3 centuries, our ancestors have carried the torch while the rest of Earth buried its head in the sand. Crown announced, his deep voice resonating. First by fleeing that wretched planet, then by building this movement from the ashes of the colony attacks. We are the vanguard of humanity's free will. The crowd roared their approval, raising clenched fists in the air. Crown lifted his hands, gradually restoring order. The aliens have awoken a slumbering giant. They sought to catch us unprepared and subjugate us under their rule like so many others before. His eyes glinted with fury. But humans will never be slaves or outcasts again. Not on my watch! He pointed back at the display, where the alien ship appeared like a flailing behemoth crippled by the endless volley of orbital bombardment. That vessel is the first of many invaders who've underestimated our resolve. So let's show those cosmic bullies what thermonuclear hell feels like when you kick the hornet's nest. The room erupted in thunderous cheers and chants of "Free Earth! Free Earth!" as Crown turned back to Natasha with a curt nod. Get the behemoth and the other dreadnoughts into firing positions. Target anything that moves after we drop those Xeno bullies from the sky. High above the ravaged American cities, the bridge of the Luminance was a cyclone of panic and unfiltered terror. Warning klaxons blared as one by one, the ship's critical systems went offline under the merciless human onslaught. We're venting drive plasma! A terrified tech screamed over the din. Reactors are triggering emergency shutdown. Raise emergency containment fields around the antimatter cores. Zora ordered, even as the deck tilted violently beneath her feet. We can't, the panicked reply came. Containment generators have been struck. Zora felt her blood run cold at the implications. If those antimatter reservoirs ruptured and detonated while in Earth's atmosphere. On the planning table, a holographic render of the luminance flickered and distorted, multiple sections illuminating an ominous crimson. Damn! Tholan muttered, uncharacteristically shaken despite his earlier bravado, as he studied the catastrophic damage reports. How? Croc stammered in disbelief, his feelers drooping. This is technology we haven't encountered in over 1,000 revolutions. How do these primates possess such destructive capabilities? A deafening boom drowned out his words as a titanic fireball erupted amidships, venting debris and energy in a blinding shockwave. Zora was thrown across the buckled deck, slamming her head against an outcropping with bone-rattling force. Zora! Tholan's voice seemed to come from a million light-years away as she drifted in and out of consciousness. We need to initiate emergency saucer separation before the drive plumes shred the entire ship. Ignoring the warm trickle of ichor from her scalp, Zora willed herself back to alertness, slapping feebly at the comm controls with shaking limbs. All crew, activate saucer sep sequence. She gasped out, each word a struggle against the waves of pain. Prepare for emergency disengagement. With a catastrophic groan of protesting bulkheads, the stricken engineering hull of the once mighty Altari explorer broke away. Massive drive plumes of radiation and blazing plasma lashed out in all directions as the mauled saucer section rotated ponderously to gain separation. Too late, Croc's sensor probes detected the volley of new ordnance streaking up from the human surface, scores of slender, hastily jury-rigged rockets propelled by shockingly primitive chemical combustion. But each one bristled with dense penetration tips and thermonuclear payloads powerful enough to shatter a moon. Emergency vector change! Tholan roared in futile desperation. Brace! For impact! His words were drowned out as the rockets impacted in a hellish volley of liberation fury. The saucer section disintegrated instantly in an apocalyptic infrared flare, vaporized by the hellstorm detonation of multiple thermonuclear warheads. In the Renegade Command Center, even Crown's eyes widened momentarily at the eerie flash painting the bunker walls, while Natasha let a rare smile crease her features. "Got those Xeno bullies," she purred with grim satisfaction. On the surface, a soundless shockwave rippled outwards in an ever-expanding ring from the orbital detonation. Less than 2 minutes later, the rain of incandescent debris and pulverized alien alloys began pelting the scarred American cities and countryside in an apocalyptic meteor shower. As Lena Sullivan emerged trembling from the school's bomb shelter, the terrible truth sank in: they were at war. Not against some human enemy or rogue nation, but an extraterrestrial force that had dared bring its imperialistic aggression to their very doorstep. I don't feel so good about winning," her friend Trent muttered queasily, unable to tear his gaze away from the falling wreckage and fires raging across the ravaged suburban landscape. "Sure, we had to defend ourselves, but—" Lena just stared up at the mushroom-shaped clouds scorched into the sky with a cold, hollow feeling of grim resignation. If hostile aliens were just the start, what other terrors awaited humanity among the stars? 4 days after the cataclysmic orbital battle, an eerie silence cloaked the planet as the cosmic dust settled. News channels and internet streams were abuzz with shaky video footage of the alien ship's demise, a stark reminder that humanity was no longer alone in the universe. In the Oval Office's secure briefing room, President Kynes watched the looping holographic replay with a mounting sense of dread. Her initial hopes for a peaceful first contact lay in smoldering ruins. "So much for extending the olive branch of diplomacy," General Kane grunted, his arms crossed as he studied the footage of nuclear strikes eviscerating the alien vessel. "Looks like our friends took the policy of shoot first, ask questions never to heart." Kynes shot him a withering look before turning to Dr. Hassan. "Please tell me you've had more success analyzing the transmissions, or whatever they were, from the aliens?" The xenoanthropologist clasped her hands anxiously. "We've made some progress in decrypting several burst communications from their ship in the final moments. But," she swallowed heavily, "the excerpts we've pieced together aren't exactly encouraging for hopes of a diplomatic resolution." Hassan tapped her datapad, and the room's hollow projector flared to life. Distorted audio clips played out accompanied by a translated transcription crawl. "Vanguard. We can't allow humans spaceways. Force. If they won't listen to reason. Conquered. They are too dangerous." The final clip ended, and a deathly pall hung over the room. Kynes felt her throat constrict as she reread the damning transcript. "You're telling me," she spoke slowly, struggling to keep her voice even, "that these aliens viewed our forces acting in self-defense as an act of aggression against them? And their response was to move forward with plans to outright conquer the entire human race?" Hassan could only nod mutely, her face ashen. Kynes leveled her gaze at Kane, who met it with a steely resolve. "Well, General, it would appear we defended ourselves against an alien invasion even if that wasn't their initial intent. Do we have a contingency plan for that possibility?" Kane's jaw tightened grimly. "You're gonna want to hear this, Madam President." On the fringes of the solar system, alarms inexplicably began blaring aboard the long-abandoned automated monitoring arrays. Unmanned for centuries, the antiquated systems sluggishly kicked into motion, recording a massive flare of radiation and exotic particles unlike anything they'd been programmed to detect. The array's targeting cameras swiveled clumsily, managing to capture a bizarre wavering in the void itself, a shimmering, inconsistent distortion in the spatial fabric that hung suspended against the stars themselves. Then, like a shoal of vast cosmic behemoths emerging from the shroud of the abyss, entire armadas of colossal ships began winking into existence with a thunderous resonance that set the stellar dust aquiver. Dark metallic leviathans, the size of planetary bodies, bristling with fearsome weapon embrasures as if daring any opposition to take the field against them. At the vanguard of this unstoppable armada, a mighty dreadnought flagship eclipsed even the planets themselves as it lumbered into implacable formation, its kilometer-wide bore apertures already swiveling with predatory focus towards the coordinates of the human homeworld. On Earth, the isolated monitoring arrays crackled back to life in a burst of panic signal ghosts and radiation underwash from the Armada's in-system translation. Horologists and amateur stargazers were the first to cry out in mingled awe and terror, as the impossible juggernauts majestically took form in the night skies before the automated threat condition was elevated to DEFCON 1 across all national networks. Within a cosmic blink, human air raid sirens began howling a fresh wave of alarm across the continents in eerie synchronicity. From the bridge of the alien flagship Zintriker, Supreme War Master Draskael glowered contemptuously at the sensor readings of the insignificant terrestrial motes infesting the world, hanging in his gun sights. Despite already falling prey to the opening salvo as a stark reminder of the price for resisting, these human savages had still not capitulated, or even responded to the Primarch's ultimatum for complete surrender. Motion tendrils curled with distaste as the War Master accessed the translated burst log from the reconnaissance fleet. A sentiment of murderous revulsion resonated within him as he reviewed the transmitting Altari commander's final panicked pleas. Humans, proved more dangerous than expected, battered fleet past rescue, request quarantine protocols, raised. Species unready, Council ultimatum. Unready? Draskael sneered in disgust at the weakling's cowardice. If these savages, unthinking mammals, lack the rational wisdom to forsake open resistance against such overwhelming power, then so be it. They shall receive their final solution at the aegis of our cannons. On every monitor and holotank array throughout the bridge, a single unified image flared into being, a nightmarish glimpse of the Earth rendered in exacting strategy grid precision, counting down from 2 orbital cycles with thousands of potential strategic targets correlated and illuminated. Armageddon's clock had begun ticking. Deep within the fortified Cheyenne Mountain complex, the technicians monitored the restart of an ancient system, a last resort doomsday weapon from humanity's darkest days. "The array is powered up, sir," a lieutenant reported to General Kane. "But there's still no response from the emergency uplink codes." Kane's jaw tightened. "Keep inhibitors locked. We don't tip our hand until that alien armada enters our airspace." On the massive hologram display, an armada of gigantic alien warships loomed ever closer to Earth's orbit, a doomsday clock ticking down their arrival. President Kynes looked ill, the weight of her decision heavy. "This is it then?" she said hoarsely. "After all our struggles to survive, it comes down to taking one final, desperate gamble?" Kane nodded grimly. "Those renegades exposed our full capabilities to the aliens. Now the aliens see us as too much of an existential threat to be left unchecked. They've left us no choice but to enact Extinction Protocol GNOSIS, our dead man's switch of last resort." As the control staff took their places, Kynes sat in the central chair, her hands trembling. All around, ancient resonance chambers powered up, feeding energies into a primordial quantum displacement matrix, a doomsday weapon forgotten by time itself. Kane's voice boomed out with the weight of billions lost. "Executioners! On my mark, initiate extinction gnosis!" A blinding shockwave of exotic energies erupted outward, reality itself warping and distorting as the resonance wave hit the multiverse. For the span of an eternal moment, Earth and humanity simply ceased to exist, only to emerge again in the next heartbeat at the very edge of reality, exiled into a dimensional realm beyond violence or entropy. The alien armada's sensors detected only an inexplicable stellar rift, consuming Earth and replaced by a cyclonic tempest of scathing energies. On the alien flagship, War Master Draskael could only watch in stupefied horror as incredibly distortion forces ripped apart his entire vanguard like tornado-tossed aerogel. Screaming commands and defiance went unheard as the Gnosis pulse annihilated ship after ship with each brilliant flare of light. Until only Draskael's flagship remained, its overstressed shields grinding down to their bare atoms as a reverberating voice comprised of eternities denounced his existence. "This atrocity is recognized. You are unmade, your existence negated from all reality." With those words, Draskael's individual quantum existence was forcibly erased, the very possibility of him, or his kind obliterated down to the last particle. And from beyond the locked dimensional horizon, dense reality reasserted itself as the cosmic ripples faded. But in the space between realms, a singularity rift glowered malignantly, compressing into a maw of hyperspatial tension, before collapsing in on itself with a thunderous implosion. In the blink of an eye, something vast and overwhelmingly alien was violently birthed into our plane of existence. Drifting serenely amidst the stars once more, the Earth had been reforged, remade as the cradle for humanity's new journey among the cosmos. A new beginning, free from the shackles of their violent origins. Guarded by powerful forces until they were ready to greet the stars again, either as infants to be nurtured carefully, or as something far more terrifying than the aliens could have ever imagined. Wow! Thanks for joining me on this story. Did it leave you feeling empowered? These human triumphs over challenges are my favorite to share. If you want to see more like this, hit that subscribe button. And let me know in the comments what kind of conflicts inspire you. Your feedback helps me write the most captivating stories. What did you think about this one? Did it resonate with you? Let me know in the comments below.